Okay. Okay, so I guess we can get started. Hello, this is the weekly VOLTHA TST meeting. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on your time zone. Okay, so we've got a light agenda today. If anybody wants to add anything, feel free. So we had a request from Denise to gather a list of O&U vendors that would be helpful to publish in the marketplace or to approach. So far, she's found 3 companies, Alpha, Sienna, and Isquatel, and she was wondering if anybody else could or should be added to this list. I'll just zip over here quickly. It's just a spreadsheet. If you access the spreadsheet through this link, you should have access to be able to modify it if you need to, or though you might need to request edit access. Can anybody think of any other companies we could add in here quickly?
Actually, I think Sienna does not have any ONU.
Okay.
But the other vendors are Sercom, TP-Link, Zyxel. Yes.
Who was the first? I missed the one before.
TP-Link, not AP-Link, TP-Link. This the line 8. Yes, T.
T is in Thomas. TP-Link.
Yes, P-Link. Yeah.
Okay.
Sercom, SERCOMM.
Yes.
CIG.
Yes, CIG.
So that, sorry, was that just CIG?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. Listened to too much loud music when I was younger. Okay. Okay, yeah, if anybody would like to add any more, can think of anything else, feel free to come in there and add them. Okay, so I've just got a couple of items here. So for new tickets, Mahir opened a ticket for me recently. We have a what was it, check-in test failure that's showing up. For some reason, there's a few things going on here, but we seem to be missing the kind command. There's a problem accessing the cube directory where Kubernetes should be storing content. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there. I'm actively looking into this one, but no update on that one yet. While I was working on the Volt CTL release, if anybody gets bored, this might be a fun project to work on. So the latest release version that's on GitHub right now, I had built locally and published that up to GitHub. Of course, I found a problem with the binary afterwards, and we probably should fix this. We're okay right now because the OS and the shared libraries that are on the Docker image that we're using to build, and the Jenkins nodes that we're running tests on, by coincidence, happen to be running the same OS version, shared library versions, all that fun stuff. So everything matches up and everything works properly. When I built Volt CTL on my local machine, I had a newer version of GNU libc on the machine. And when we're building right now, the build just uses the latest symbols that are available. Unfortunately, this caused problems if you were working on a machine that had an older version of glibc other than 232, which the build system happens to have. So that binary was unusable. What we may want to do later on, this is just a suggestion, when we're building, we have the ability to compile against version copies of the symbols in the shared libraries. If rather than building against the latest, we build against a named version of the shared libraries, one of the APIs, that would pretty much guarantee that the binaries can work anywhere independent of where they're compiled on. And like I said, we're okay right now, but when we start upgrading some of the Jenkins nodes or the Docker images, we may run into problems when newer shared libraries come into play. If we use built with version libraries, that is just going to reduce the chance of it happening. But this ticket's out there, probably the make files and the shell script that we're using to do release would need to be updated, but it's pretty straightforward what needs to be done with that. Let me see. So everybody's favorite, VOLTHA TST. Very, very close with this right now. So my last build this morning, I'll just bring the Jenkins job up. There's a lot more debugging in the script right now. We download the GitHub binary to actually interact with GitHub. Or, sorry, there's a script, a GH command line script that we're using to interact with GitHub. So this just grabs the latest version. So we do the VOLTHA binary builds. We're dumping some information about the Docker images that are being used right now. So this VOLTHA CI tools, that's where the Golang interpreter is coming from. List some information or file system content on the Docker image for the release that we're making. The directory that's important that needs to be here is app release. That's what we build into. And here is just checking permissions to make sure we can write into the app release directory. The build before was kind of quiet. I've added some echo statements in here. So as we build each of the platforms and the VOLTHA binary, we'll start getting some feedback to tell it where it's actually processing. So we're able to go through, build everything. I'll speed this up a little bit. Where's my? Okay, so down here at the bottom, so we go through all the builds for all the platforms. We are generating platform-specific binaries. Then we copy them to a directory to package up for the release. Just some debugging I added in here. It'll dump some of the release versions that are available on GitHub right now. We should sort that, but I'm going to have to truncate that because it's going to get long at some point. So yeah, this is where we copy them, create a checksum for the release image that we're going to do. This is where we actually publish the release to GitHub. The strange 404 not found error, some of these errors are fun to track down. It's not actually a 404 error. GitHub tries to mask some of the errors that come back to not expose internals or users' credentials. So a lot of times you'll get a bad page error. This is actually a permissions problem. I'm trying to figure out what extra attributes we need on the access token that we're using to publish to GitHub. As soon as I can get this figured out, the latest binary, 1843, will get published up to GitHub. But this access is the only problem that's holding up the works right now. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts or anything about this? Okay. And
Joey, sorry. When we finish this, we have both CTL binaries released. Then I can think we can also release BVSIM.
exactly, yeah. the release scripts are just a little bit different, but yeah, all of the code and publishing to GitHub is the same. So yeah, basically update the BBSim release to use the new script, and yeah, we'll have both BBSim and VoltCTL then.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Okay. Okay, so I guess that's all the items I have right now. Does the I guess the floor is open if anybody would like to bring anything up.
Hi, Abhilash here. So
Hey.
there are quite a few reviews pending on the error handling. So yeah, I know that there is problem with the VoltKettle in the pipeline. So if anyone has any comments, we can go ahead and address till the VoltKettle is fixed. Once that's fixed, probably we can merge. So yeah.
Okay.
Feel free to provide comments on the.
Abhilash, another problem about the merge is, the first item that Joy indicated, the VOL 4967, I guess. So the verification jobs on the patch are failing. So Jenkins cannot give +1 verify to the jobs. So that's why actually myself, I checked, I reviewed most of the, patches, but because there is no Jenkins +1, I didn't give +1s also to the patches. So before the merge also, and before we get, +1s or +2s, we need to see that the Jenkins verified the job.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah. Okay.
Here, do you have a guesstimate on when this may have manifested?
I myself, no, I don't have.
Okay. Okay, no worries. I'm just trying to track down context to figure out when it happened. Okay. Okay, let me see. So I guess does anybody else have anything that you'd like to bring up? Okay, well, I guess it's going to be a very brief meeting today. Yeah, I'll try and get those permissions straightened out today, and once VoltCTL is pushed out the door, I'll get BBSim released, and then it's going to be on to the job that's failing the check-in jobs. Okay.
I maybe give some updates about the IGMP application upstream tasks. So we would start by upstreaming the related BBSim changes, and we already created 2 tickets for the BBSim changes. So after pushing those, we will define what is needed for the repository for IGMP application, and then later push the IGMP changes. So we started that process just for an update.
Excuse me.
So probably next week, you will see the BBSim related changes patches.
Okay. Okay, cool. Let's make a quick one back here. Oh, I guess that'll probably be it for this week then. Thanks everybody for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.